A child was born under a sky that refused to thunder. No cry came from her mouth. No celebration followed her arrival. Instead, a scream so sharp and sudden that it split the silence of dawn, came from her mother. Nkiru Okafor screamed as if fire had entered her bones. And that was the first sign that Adiz was not an ordinary child. The women who helped with the birth froze in place. One dropped the bowl of warm water. Another covered her mouth in fear, because the baby in Nkiru's arms was perfectly calm. Her skin glowed softly, like palm oil in sunlight. Her lips curved in a peaceful half-smile. Her eyes, when they opened, were dark, deep, and knowing. But Nkiru screamed. She clawed at the mat beneath her. Her back arched. Tears poured down her face. "Stop looking at her," she cried. "Don't say anything, please. Don't say she is beautiful." The women exchanged confused glances. What mother begged her child not to be praised? But they obeyed. They said nothing. And the pain stopped. 3 days later, an old neighbor named Mama Ifunanya came to see the child. She leaned over the baby and smiled. "Ah," she said softly, unable to help herself. "This girl is beautiful." Nkiru's scream came instantly. It tore through the compound like a blade. She collapsed. Her hands shook. Her mouth foamed. Her body twisted in pain as if something unseen was punishing her. The praise died in Mama Ifunanya's throat. From that day on, the village learned the rule. No one was allowed to call Adiz beautiful. Adiz grew, and with every passing year, the truth became harder to hide. Her beauty was not loud. It was not proud. It was unnerving. Her face held balance no sculptor could copy. Her eyes carried sadness and wisdom too heavy for a child. Her hair grew thick, dark, and long, longer than any girl's in Umuoka. By the time she was 12, it brushed the ground. By 15, it swept the path she walked. People stared. People whispered. But no one dared speak the word. Because every time someone forgot, every time someone said, "Beautiful," Nkiru screamed. Nkiru aged faster than time allowed. Her hair grayed early. Her back bent. Her laughter disappeared. Yet she loved Adiz fiercely. She braided her hair each morning with trembling fingers. She fed her first before herself. She watched her with eyes full of fear and devotion. At night, when Adeze slept, Nkiru whispered prayers. "Whatever you are, please leave my child. Let the pain be mine alone." Adiz heard these prayers, and guilt planted itself in her heart. One evening, as the moon rose full and heavy, Adiz finally asked, "Mama, why do you suffer because of me?" Nkiru froze. She had waited years for this question, and she feared the answer. "Some gifts," she said slowly, "are not meant to be admired." Adiz looked down at her hands. "Then why was I born this way?" Nkiru did not answer. Because the truth was older than both of them. Whispers spread. Fear grew. Adiz's hair now reached across compounds when the wind blew. Children followed her just to watch it move. The elders called a meeting. They spoke of curses, of forgotten agreements, of spirits who collect payment through blood. One name was mentioned in hushed tones. Mumame, the spirit of beauty. And with that name the village fell silent. Long ago, the elders said, Umuoka made a bargain. A daughter would be born once in a generation. She would carry beauty beyond human limits. And for every praise she received, someone who loved her would pay the price. Pain, suffering, slow destruction. Adiz was that daughter. And Nkiru had loved her too much. That night, Adiz stood alone outside her hut. Her hair flowed across the earth like a dark river. She looked at the stars and whispered, "If my beauty is a curse, then I will find a way to break it." Behind her, Nkiru screamed again. And far away, the spirits listened. Adiz did not sleep that night. She sat outside their hut, knees drawn to her chest, while her hair lay across the red earth like a quiet river. The moonlight rested on it gently, as if even the sky feared to disturb her. From inside the hut, she could hear her mother's breathing, shallow, tired, burdened. Each breath sounded like borrowed time. Adiz closed her eyes and remembered every scream. Not just the sound, but the fear behind it. The helplessness. The way her mother's hands trembled afterward, as though her body had been borrowed by something else. At dawn, Adiz made her choice. She would leave Umuoka. When she told her mother, Nkiru dropped the clay cup she was holding. "No," she said immediately. Her voice cracked. "No. You cannot." "I must," Adiz replied softly. "If you go looking for the spirits, they may never let you return." Adiz knelt in front of her. "Mama, if I stay, you will not survive me." Nkiru reached for her daughter's face, her hands shaking. "You think distance will protect me?" she whispered. "You think the bond between us is that weak?" Adiz did not answer, because she did not know. When the elders heard Adiz's plan to leave, they gathered again beneath the old Irako tree. Some warned her. Some begged her. Some looked relieved. One elder, Pachakwudi, spoke last. "The spirits who demand payment do not release what they own easily," he said. "You are not cursed by accident. You were chosen." Adiz lifted her chin. "Then they chose the wrong girl." The elders fell silent. Adiz left at sunrise. No farewell songs followed her. No drums. No blessings. Only her footsteps. The path out of Umuoka twisted strangely that morning. What should have been straight, bent and curved, as though the earth itself was uncertain where to send her. Birds watched her pass but did not sing. Her hair dragged behind her, collecting dust, leaves, memories. By midday, she reached the forest of listening trees, a place children were warned never to enter. The trees leaned inward, their branches knotted like old fingers. Adiz stepped inside. The forest breathed. She had walked only a short distance when a voice spoke. Not from ahead, not from behind, but from everywhere at once. "Why do you carry what you did not ask for?" Adiz stopped. "I am looking for the truth," she said. Laughter echoed softly. "Truth is expensive. Who will pay for it?" Adiz thought of her mother. "I will." The forest grew quiet. Then the trees parted. In a clearing sat a woman made of ash and smoke. Her face was cracked like dry earth. Her eyes glowed faintly like dying embers. "You carry beauty borrowed from us," the woman said. "And beauty always demands a witness." Adiz shook her head. "It demands suffering." The woman smiled. "Only when love is involved." Long ago, the woman explained, Umuoka begged the spirits for favor. They wanted prosperity, protection, to be remembered. The spirits agreed but demanded balance. A child would be born carrying beauty so powerful it would draw fate toward the village. But admiration is a form of claiming, and every claim requires payment. So the pain was passed to the one who loved her most. Adiz felt her chest tighten. "My mother never agreed to this." "No," the woman replied. "She loved you anyway." "Can the bargain be undone?" Adiz asked. The woman's eyes dimmed. "Beauty cannot be erased," she said. "It can only be returned." Adiz frowned. "Returned to whom?" The woman pointed upward. "To the source." The forest darkened. A river appeared where none had been before. Black, slow, silent. "This river carries admiration," the woman said. "Step into it, and you will feel what others feel when they look at you." Adiz hesitated. Then she stepped forward. The moment her foot touched the water, her body stiffened. She gasped. Voices flooded her mind. "She is beautiful. So beautiful. I have never seen anything like her. Look at her. Look." The words pressed against her chest like stones. Her knees buckled. So this was it. This was the weight her mother carried. Adiz screamed, but no sound came out. The river rose to her waist. "You may leave," the woman's voice echoed. "Or you may continue." "What happens if I continue?" Adiz asked through clenched teeth. "The beauty will no longer belong to you alone." Adiz thought of Nkiru's screams. "I don't want it anymore." The river stilled. The water retreated. Adiz collapsed onto the forest floor, shaking. The woman knelt beside her and pressed 2 fingers to Adiz's forehead. A warmth spread through her body, not painful but final. "From this day," the woman said, "your beauty will answer only to sacrifice." Adiz did not understand, but she accepted it. When Adiz left the forest, her hair no longer dragged behind her. It lifted slightly, moving as if guided by unseen hands. The sky shifted. The wind followed her. And back in Umuoka, Nkiru woke suddenly, clutching her chest. For the first time in years, there was no pain, only silence. As Adiz walked home, she did not know what she had become. But the spirits watched her go and whispered, "This story is no longer about beauty." Adiz reached Umuoka at dusk. The village looked the same, mud walls glowing softly in the dying sun, smoke rising gently from cooking fires, but something in the air had changed. The wind followed her. Not wildly, not loudly. It moved with purpose. As she stepped onto the first familiar path, her hair lifted slightly, no longer dragging along the earth. It flowed behind her like a living veil, as though it had learned a new language. Children were the first to notice. They stopped playing. They stared. They felt something they did not have words for. Adeze walked on. Nkiru sat outside their hut, shelling groundnuts. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was calm. For the first time in many years, there was no tightness in her chest, no ache waiting in her bones. She looked up and froze. Adiz stood before her, alive, unbroken, changed. For a moment neither spoke. Then Nkiru reached out slowly, as if afraid her daughter might vanish. "You're not hurting me," she whispered. Adiz knelt and pressed her forehead to her mother's knees. "I went to return what was never meant to stay with me," she said. Tears slid down Nkiru's face, but this time they were quiet. Word spread quickly. Adiz was back, and something about her unsettled the people. She still carried beauty, but now it was different. It did not demand attention. It did not pull the eyes. Instead, it waited. When people looked at her, they felt a strange urge to lower their voices, to think before they spoke. And when one woman, forgetting herself, breathed the word, "She is beautiful," the village held its breath. Kira did not scream. Nothing happened. Confused murmurs followed. Had the curse been broken? That night, the drums played for a wedding in a nearby compound. Laughter filled the air. Palm wine flowed. Voices rose in praise and song. Someone praised Adiz again. And again. And again. Still no scream. But at the edge of the celebration, an elder named Okari stumbled. He clutched his chest, his face pale with shock. Not pain but realization. Memories flooded him. Promises he had broken. Cruelties he had excused. Truths he had buried. He fell to his knees, not screaming but weeping. Others felt it too. A heaviness. A mirror held up to their insides. The elders gathered once more. Pachakwudi spoke, his voice shaking. "The price has changed," he said. "No longer pain to the one who loves her most, but truth to the one who sees her clearly." The village murmured uneasily. Beauty no longer punished love. It demanded honesty. That night Adiz dreamed. She stood again in the forest clearing. The woman of ash watched her silently. "You returned the beauty," the woman said, "but you did not destroy it." Adiz bowed her head. "What does it cost me now?" The woman stepped closer. "You will never be loved for what you appear to be." Adiz looked up. "You will be loved only by those willing to face themselves." Days passed. Most villagers kept their distance now. Some avoided her eyes. Some spoke stiffly around her. But one man did not. His name was Obina, a quiet palm wine tapper. He spoke to Adiz the same way he spoke to everyone else. Not in praise. Not in fear. Just truth. They talked beneath the moonlight about small things. About the forest. About loss. When Obina looked at her, nothing inside him twisted or broke. And for the first time in her life, Adiz felt seen. The spirits were not done. The balance had shifted but not settled. The elders felt it. The forest grew restless. The nights lengthened. The wind whispered warnings. Pachacuti called Adiz to him. "The spirits will return for their final answer," he said. "They always do." Adiz nodded. "I am ready." As the moon rose blood-red that night, Adiz stood at the edge of the village once more. Her hair lifted with the wind. Behind her stood her mother. Ahead of her waited the spirits. And this time, beauty was no longer the question. The moon did not rise gently that night. It climbed the sky like a warning. Its light spilled across Umuoka in a dull red glow, washing the huts, the paths, and the people in uneasy silence. Even the insects seemed to sense what was coming. Adiz stood at the edge of the village, her bare feet planted firmly in the soil that had known her since birth. Behind her stood Nkiru. Her mother's hand rested on her back. Not trembling, not weak, but steady. For the first time, Adiz felt like the one being protected. The wind shifted, and the spirits arrived. They did not come with thunder or fire. They came quietly. The air thickened. The shadows deepened. And from between the trees stepped the woman of ash. No longer cracked, no longer fading, but whole. "You changed the bargain," the spirit said. Adiz did not bow. "I returned what was borrowed." "Yes," the spirit replied. "But beauty always leaves something behind." The ground beneath them pulsed softly as though listening. "The final balance must be set," the spirit continued. "One life must carry the truth of this power forever." Nkiru stepped forward instantly. "Take me," she said. Adiz turned sharply. "No." The village gasped. The spirit raised her hand. "The choice must be willing," she said. "And it must be yours." Adiz closed her eyes. She thought of the years of silence, of the screams, of being watched but never known. She thought of Obina, who saw her without praise. And she understood. "If I accept," Adiz asked, "what will happen?" "You will walk unseen by admiration," the spirit answered. "No praise will follow you. No songs will be sung for your beauty." Adiz opened her eyes. "Then no one will suffer because of me again." The wind fell still. Adiz stepped forward. Her hair began to rise slowly, gently, lifting into the air like smoke. It glowed faintly, then brighter still. The villagers shielded their eyes. The spirit placed her palm against Adiz's chest. And in that moment, every memory of admiration, every whispered praise, every stolen glance, lifted away. Like dust carried by the wind, Adiz collapsed. When morning came, the red moon was gone. The sky returned to blue. Birds sang again. Adiz woke on the mat inside her hut, her head resting in her mother's lap. Her hair lay quietly by her side, still long, still dark, but no longer alive with power. She stood. She looked the same. Yet, when people passed her, they did not stare. They did not whisper. They did not feel compelled to name what they saw. They simply greeted her, as one human greets another. Kira never screamed again. The village returned to normal but wiser. People learned to speak carefully, to praise gently, to see without claiming. Obina remained by Adiz's side, not because of what she was, but because of who she chose to be. And Adiz found peace in that. Years later, elders would tell the story to children, of a girl whose beauty hurt the ones who loved her, of a village that learned admiration is not harmless, of a woman who chose to be human over being worshipped. And they would end the story with these words: "Beauty that demands pain is not a blessing. Love that survives without praise is the truest kind. And sometimes the greatest sacrifice is choosing to be seen as ordinary." And so in Umuoka, beauty no longer screamed. It listened. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting stories.